going to be doing a video tutorial today on cooking salmon cakes. It's fairly quick and easy. It shouldn't take any more than about 20 to 30 minutes to do. And so just to tell you the ingredients you'll need to make salmon cakes, you're going to need some canned pink salmon. You're going to need some garlic powder, some onion powder, some black pepper, and some obey seasoning, and some mustard just to give it a little kick. Also, you are going to need an egg to make the patties stick together. And you can use breadcrumbs, you can crumble up bread. I prefer to use just crackers, and I actually use Ritz crackers, and I just do that for convenience. It's easier for me to just crumble up some crackers than it is for me to try to crumble up bread. So the choice is yours. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up the salmon and pick the bones out of the salmon. And that's so you're not crunching in the bones when you're biting into your salmon patty. So I'm going to show you how I do that, and I'm going to fast forward it so it doesn't take the video so long. Believe you me, I wish there was a way to do this without getting your hands dirty. Just make sure you wash your hands really good before you start cooking, of course. And I really don't know a way to do this without getting your hands dirty, so here we go. You just want to inspect the salmon really good just to make sure you got all of the bones out of it. I don't know if you can see that, but that's just the line of like the spine or whatever with all the bones on there. So you want to make sure you look carefully through all the rest of the salmon just to make sure you got all of it out, because sometimes, as you can see in this piece right here, there'll still be bone there in the middle. So even though, I don't know if you can see that really good right there, but even though we got that whole line of bone out, just make sure you still inspect the rest of it, because it could be some bone hiding in there. Once you've got all the bones out of the salmon cake, then you just want to dump your salmon into your mixing bowl, and then we're going to start to season it. Now we've put all of our salmon, we've got all of the bones out, and we've put it all into the mixing bowl. Now what we're going to do is season it with our garlic and our onion powder and our obey and our pepper and our mustard. Now we've gotten all of our salmon into the bowl, and we've added our seasoning. So we've added our garlic, our onion powder, our obey seasoning, and our black pepper, and we've added a little mustard on top. Now, what you want to do at that point is mix it all together, and then you're going to start to add your breadcrumb or your crackers, which I'm using as an alternative. Alright, so now we have crumbled in our crackers or our breadcrumbs, whichever you choose. It should look something like this with your breadcrumbs on top. Now what we're going to do is mix everything in together, and then we're going to add the egg so that it'll stick together. And at that point, we can then start to form our patties. You want to make sure you mash it up so that the meat is not too chunky. If you find it easier to mash up your meat first and then add your breadcrumbs, I would recommend that as well. Once you get the meat crumpled up nice and good, it should look something like that. Then you can go ahead and add your egg and mix it together, and then we can start forming our patties. Eggs mixed into our patty, and we're going to start to go ahead and form the patty now. I like to use a spoon just to grab the patty with, just to grab the salmon with, to scoop it up into my hand. I really don't know a way to do this without getting your hands dirty unless you use like gloves. I just make sure I wash my hands really good and I use my hands. So you scoop the salmon up into your hand and you start to make a patty, kind of like how you would make a hamburger. And I'll show you. So now we've formed our patties. As you can see, I just rolled them up into a ball and kind of flattened them out just like you would a hamburger. I used 1 can, which, if you can see, yielded about 6 patties. You can make them as big or as small as you like. I have assorted sizes. I save the big ones for my hubby, of course, and then I have some smaller ones for the kids and some medium ones for myself. But you can make them as big or as small as you like. So the next step is we're going to take our patties and we're going to fry them in a frying pan with our cooking oil. And I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so now is the step where we actually fry our patties. You're going to want to make sure that, well, I like to make sure that I have a frying pan with a lid to it. So that way when the grease starts popping up from the heat and the salmon patty, it doesn't pop up and get all over my stove. That's just me personally. So I would recommend that. So I filled my frying pan so it's about enough grease in there just to cover the patty about halfway up. It'll fry about half of the patty up to here and brown it. And then when you flip your patty over, it'll brown the other side. That way you have a patty that's brown all the way on both sides. So that's just a technique that I found that works for me. As you do it, you'll start to get into your own little flow and you'll find what works for you and you'll know how to season it to taste according to how you like it. So this is just according to how I do it. You want to make sure that your grease is good and hot before you start to fry your patty. A good way to do that is to take a little bit of water on your finger and sprinkle it into the grease. And if the grease starts to sizzle and pop, then it's ready. You want to make sure your grease is not too hot because you want to make sure your patty cooks thoroughly and it doesn't just brown too fast on the outside. If it's too hot, that's what will happen. If it's not hot enough, then your patty will just soak in the grease and it'll make your patty really greasy. So you just want to make sure your grease is the right temperature before you start to fry your patty. So I've had my grease sitting on my eye for a little while. I'm going to take a little bit of water and sprinkle it into the grease to see if it sizzles. That way I know my grease is at a good temperature. Alright, so I have had my grease on the heat for quite a while now, just about 1 minute or two more minutes just to make sure it's good and warm. I'm going to take the water now and try to test it to see if it's warm enough. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm trying a little more so you can start to hear. Alright, there it is. All right, so if you hear that pop and fizzle, that lets you know that your grease is ready. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start to drop our patty in there. And so this will really show you whether it's ready or not, and we'll see together. So let's see. That's my rice boiling over. Sorry, I like rice with my salmon patties. All right, you hear that fizzle? That means it's good and ready to drop in there. And you can see how it's fizzling around the salmon patty, and that's how you know that your grease is hot enough. So I drop them in clockwise, and then I pick them up clockwise, starting from the top one that I dropped in there. Okay, so you just cover that and let that start to cook until it browns. And you know, you can cook it as done as you like it. Some like theirs browner than others. I just like to make sure mine's is like a deep golden brown. And so I'll show you that you know, when it's done. When you're cooking fish or when you're frying salmon patties, to kind of mask that fishy smell that spreads through your house, just get a little glass and put some vinegar in it. This is just a small shot glass that we had in the house, and I'm all out of white vinegar, so I put some of my red wine vinegar in it. Does the same thing, but I do prefer to put white vinegar in it. But you just get you a little bit of vinegar and put it on your stove where you're cooking. I just set mine in the back if you have a stove where you can do that, or you can set it beside the stove where you're cooking and it absorbs that fishy smell. Also, I would recommend you closing the doors to your bedroom so that that smell doesn't get absorbed in your clothes and in your linen and things of that nature. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit with you. Hope it helps. Okay, so now my salmon cakes have started to brown a little bit, so I'm going to check to see if it's cooked to my liking so that I can flip it to the other side. I use 2 spatulas to do this so I don't burn my finger. Now remember, I put this one in first, so I'm going to check the one that I put in first to see. And that is a good color brown there. You can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it to the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the other ones. Alright, so now I'm going to check to make sure that the other side has browned really good. If so, then our patty should be finished. Okay, so it appears that both sides have browned really good. So I'm going to go ahead and take my patties out. Our patties are done, and I've just placed them on a plate with paper towel on top, again to soak up some of the excess grease. But we made sure that our patties were brown really good on both sides, and they're good to go. So this is just a quick, easy way to make salmon patties.